Hello, I am so excited to have you here, Margie. Oh my gosh. The truly brilliant book that you wrote has just brought such a glow to my life. I was blessed to be able to pre-read Magic Ball of Light summer camp when before it hit the publication, before it was in a physical piece, and then it arrived 2 days ago. So I mean, it was so exciting to get it. I love the feeling of a book, and this book is something that I'm going to share with my granddaughters. We were talking about that earlier because it is. I love chapter books. And each chapter in itself could be a bedtime story or a week time story. So sometimes I think that reading to children repetitively will be able to take the words, amalgamate it with the experience, and make it a learning, a
Yes.
learning. And you created this book from experience. Can you tell us?
Well, do you want the whole story? So,
Yeah,
yes,
the whole
I
story.
think I think we have time, but because I never really get to tell the whole story, and it's a bizarre story. It's kind of, and maybe I think your audience can relate to it.
Yeah.
And so I was last year on a Zoom call similar to this with lots of people from around the world. It was a mastermind, and I had our facilitator was doing some energy work, and that was kind of new to me. Okay, so he's asking us to rub our hands and to feel the energy and place our hands out to the screen, to all the other people, and close our eyes. So I'm like, okay, sure, yeah, I'll do that. Okay, and next thing you know, I'm not in the room anymore. I am like in my office at home during the day. Swear to God, I wasn't drinking. I wasn't doing any kind of drugs. It was during the day. I see myself, I've always had a professional persona or professional job where I had doing leadership coaching, leadership training, and I would wear my favorite little blue suit, blue jacket with the black pants, with my little bangs and my bob and my little jewelry that all matched. And I saw myself that being zipped off like a big giant zipper was taking that Margie, and a big heavy fur was shed off. And out came this other Margie outside of this fur. And she was more relaxed, more curlier hair, longer hair, hippie-ish. And she was holding a ball of light. And then
Wow.
she's in a field with children, and she's holding this ball of light, and she hands it to the child to her left, who puts it in his heart, who hands it to the next child, who puts it in their heart. And it goes around maybe 10 kids. And then they all just smile, and they're like kind of like their little, like almost like, remember Care Bears, they're little shiny, their little heart, they're little shiny, like the little shiny little beans just walked away. And then I'm back in the room, and I'm like, what just happened? It's like, like that was weird. And all the other people are, and the guys talking, and I'm just like, I can't tell anybody this because they're going to think I'm crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell my husband for a while because I didn't know what happened to me.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, so I talked to the facilitator later one-on-one. And of course he's like, oh, he was also my coach. So he was my coach at the time. And so we talked offline. I was in a group thing and then an individual thing with him. So we were able to kind of work through it. But I kept thinking, well, what does this mean? What does this vision I saw mean? And then I decided about several months, I just explored, because I didn't really know I knew what Reiki was. I knew a little bit about energy work. I've worked a little bit with crystals, just dabbling. So I explored, like, maybe I'm supposed to do Reiki. Maybe I'm supposed to be doing energy work. Maybe I'm supposed to be a shaman. I was like kind of going around figuring it out. Nothing was like popping up, like, no, 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 no. So then by the end of the year, I decided, all right, God, I'm asking you, because I pray every day. I have my quiet time. I talk to my spirit guides. I talk with my angels. I'm like, okay, I journal every day. I'm like, the second part of this is not coming. I'm like, you gave me the first part, which is this vision, but nothing. And then I said, I think I'm going to make it up. I'm just going to make it up because you're not telling me. Because we need to move into action. But
Yeah.
what action am I taking? I need to take one step forward. So I said, I'm just going to make it up. And then it dawned on me, I'll create a book, because a book is a story and we create our own reality, right? By
Yes.
just making it up. So I said, I'm going to write a book. And so then my husband, this was like Christmas time. And then my husband and I went on a cruise this past January. So here it is, August, past January. We go on a cruise, 12 days. Most of that is at sea, maybe 5 days at sea. And then you get to these different islands in the Caribbean. And then every day you're getting off the ship. And then I literally downloaded the book on the cruise.
Beautiful.
I wasn't expecting it. I had my laptop just because I always have my laptop, because I just do. I'm not one of these people who can just like completely detach. So my husband likes saunas. So he would go to the sauna every day, 3 or 4 o'clock, and then we'd have our dinner. On the cruise, you have your dinner time. So he was gone. I could just focus really just an hour a day.
Yes.
And I'm like, so every day I would like write about Olivia, or I'd write about Grace, or I'd write about, and as you see in the books, these characters in the book, and I would basically use based on the stories that my grandchildren would tell me, because and many of the characters in the book are my grandchildren, and those are their real names, and those are their real faces.
You love that you use their real names and their real faces. Quite often, we are worried by others into not doing that. And the only way that I could write in writing my memoir was to name them. Otherwise, it would lose its authenticity. And it just, otherwise, I couldn't even imagine how to transpose that in my own mind. Like that's,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have authors like Stephen King who must have a character in mind. I think, I don't know. I mean, I only know my own writing experience, as you know yours, but I love that you used your grandchildren. Oh, that's so neat, because our grandchildren have such interesting characteristics. I know as a child, I really resonated with your one grandson. I'm sure it was a son, Reed. Um, because Reed, how did the dog eat your homework? I got caught in a lie when I was a child, and I really liked candy, and I had stolen some candy from the store, and I had said that my friend Doreen gave me the candy. And my mom, being the wise woman that she took me to Doreen's house because I went for play dates, and then she thanked Doreen's mom for giving me candy.
Mm.
Feeling in my stomach, like that sick feeling in my stomach, that feeling of the tears behind my eyes.
Like you're found out.
Yes. Yes, and we all struggle with
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
being taught. As children, it's one experience. As adults, we hide our secrets and we don't tell our truths because we're afraid that we will be punished,
Mm-hmm.
judged,
Judged. Mm-hmm.
judged,
Mm-hmm.
or punished. So, in order to teach a child that That's such a beautiful experience and expression. And then it gives the opportunity for a parent to share
Mm-hmm.
a story. I can tell my grandchildren, well, when Nona was a little girl, Nona stole some bubble gum.
And they'd be like, oh.
Yeah.
And
And
you're like, because you're human, just like
yeah,
they,
I'm human.
just everybody has that temptation. Everybody may do it.
Absolutely. For whatever reason that they
Mm-hmm.
do it. And I find it really interesting because when we hear the word to sin, it simply means to miss the mark. Simply. To sin means to miss the mark. You pull back the arrow, let
Mm.
it go, you make a decision, and you miss the mark. You miss
Yeah.
the mark of what it was that you were brought to this earth to experience. And we're all brought to
Mm.
to this earthly experience to experience love,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
to love, to be loved, to love, to be loved. And we get misdirected along the way. It is. It's being human.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, and we've all heard the story of the little boy who cries wolf, which I don't know that a lot of kids get the Aesop fables the way maybe we did growing up. But that was, you keep making this fib, the wolf is coming, and then no one believes you anymore because you've been fibbing.
Yes. Yes. And that's exactly it. And sometimes when we tell the truth, we're not believed either. So then it can be a challenge to continually speak from our hearts, and to find a supportive person to
Mm-hmm.
speak to is a beautiful experience. We need to have more compassion, more empathy, more understanding in, in this world, because the judgment is what shuts people down. The
Mm-hmm.
the guilt, the judgment, the consequences. When we make a mistake, there's cause and effect. That's
Mm-hmm.
there's a law of cause and effect. It's called karma. And when you do something, it comes back at you one way or another. So,
Mm-hmm.
be thoughtful of what you do. Be thoughtful of what you do. And I love how at the end of the chapter with Reed, you wrote, um, I love myself just the way I am.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Beautiful.
Just
Beautiful.
because a lot of it is it's self-acceptance. It's because in that particular chapter, he was making, I call that one tall tales, because he was embellishing or exaggerating, and why do people embellish and exaggerate? To feel good about themselves,
Yeah, to fit
you know,
in. To
to
fit in.
fit in, to be accepted, to not be judged. And so, for him to learn that at a younger age, hopefully would be good.
Well, I am lovable just the way I am, and I promise I won't make up lies anymore. Just, just that beauty of the promise. And then we always pinky sweared. It was the pinky swear.
Yeah.
Pinky swears were
Yeah.
huge in my house when I raised my children.
Mhm.
With my mother, it was a bit more dogmatic. She'd bring out the old Bible and have me swear on it. And then she wondered why I didn't want to read the Bible. Because it scared me. Different experience, right? Different experience. I learned to
Exactly.
understand the beauty of the many stories within the Bible. I'm an avid reader, and I love to read. At the beginning of your book, you also asked, share something you love about yourself and something that you're grateful for. Wow, what a game changer for children.
Mhm.
What
Yeah.
a game changer.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a lot of things is just being able to, and so in this mystical camp or this make believe camp, that's what they did every day. So it was a par for the course. That's part of the like a process, or like in a business, it would be like a norm. Or we in the United States have what we call like a morning huddle.
Yes.
Everybody in the morning gets together and like, hey, this is the plan of the day. So and so's out sick today, and XYZ deadlines happening today. So let's have a little like quick chat. Wouldn't it
Yep.
be nice if somebody did something like this?
Oh my
Share
gosh.
something,
In the
something.
workplace, that would be an absolute beauty. I always said to my children, share your high and your low at the end of the day. So they would come
Hmm,
home and they would tell me about the best thing that happened to them and the
hmm,
worst thing that happened to them, because it was important to acknowledge what they were struggling with as well. Gratitude is something I
hmm.
practice every single day. I have a gratitude partner. She's much more um, consistent about sharing gratitude than I am. I talk about gratitude more. I express gratitude, and then sometimes I'm like, oh, got to do it. Got to send Daphne that list of gratitude, and it changes. It changes the vibration.
It changes the vibration, and and I do that every morning in part of my journaling. Every morning I write down 10 things I'm grateful for. I
Mhm.
learned that from somebody. I can't remember, like a class or a course I took, but and then to take it not just like, oh, I'm grateful to have a roof over my head. I'm grateful, I mean, but to make it dig it a little deeper.
Yes,
Why are you grateful that you have a roof over your head? Why, go, but I'm grateful for this because add the
exactly.
because part. That might be a little more advanced for the kids in the book, but it's certainly a place to start to share something that you love about yourself. I love my personality. I love, my, something physically about myself, and then something I'm grateful for. And so if we did that every morning, but I love what you did with your kids. That's awesome. To share your highs and your lows. So it's kind of like a little debrief of the day. I may, maybe I'll steal that for the next book.
Well, it's very much a debrief, because when we come home, whether we're adults or we're children, we need to unpack.
Mhm,
We need to unpack it. If we just leave the problems at the door and don't discuss them, they're going to
mhm,
come out later. They're going to those ugly little horns are going to come out, and we're going to snap because there's been a
mhm,
build up. And it's important to explain, and then listen. God gave us two ears and one mouth for a reason. I think that's very
mhm,
important, to listen. I love how you practice the gratitude in the morning. I do it when I wake up and my 2 feet land on the floor, and I can walk with more ease.
mhm,
I'm a happy camper. I've had some physical struggles that I've been working through, and now in the evenings, every evening, every evening, I do reflexology on my feet and my hands.
mhm,
I use redox as well, which helps feed my cells in my body. I use scalar wave energy. I do ion foot baths. I do that
mhm,
every single day, because the fascia in my body had gotten really tight in the lower part of my body. So otherwise, I'd wake up in the morning, I'd have to go to the bathroom, and I'd have to do this tiptoe thing until my calf muscles relaxed.
mhm, mhm.
So now, when I can get out of bed
Oh,
and
you're super grateful now. Yes.
exactly, and it's because I had the contrast.
Mhm,
We remember what life was, and now what it is. I love pressing the coffee button in the morning. The smell of coffee. I'm so grateful for the home
mhm.
that I'm in and the relationship that I have, because and I do, and I talk that out loud. I do it constantly. It's a constant mantra
That's
in my
good.
life. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome. That's
yeah.
great.
I mean, washing the dishes can be an act of gratitude.
Mhm. Yes, yes.
Putting the dishes away, having dishes, the cupboard, the mobility to be able to lift up a dish and put it in the cupboard.
Mhm, mhm.
Those are
Did you
those are those are big. Those are
Yeah, I know, and something you said there about, when I like what you said about your asking your children to share their highs and lows, because what they think is a high and a low, you're thinking that's a low, and because that's what they think, and you get to know what they think, their perspective, their lens of the world is that was a low point. And you're like, maybe you're thinking, hey, that doesn't sound so low, but to them it is. So it's not to judge, but that's interesting to be curious what, why someone would put a lens on a high thing. Hey, I did this, or I did not do that. And that's just how they see the world.
It's very important. And I've learned now that I have adult children, the importance of that in our lives, especially because I was quite open with my children and what they were allowed to share. They were not allowed to be punished for what they shared. It was very important. So
Okay.
if their low meant that they got into a scuffle with another kid at school,
Mm-hmm.
or they failed an exam, they were not allowed to be punished. They were not allowed to, nope. It was like, that was a free one.
And that's beautiful, because then there's that level of trust.
Mhm.
That means they could tell you anything, and they wouldn't, get in trouble.
Wouldn't that be a wonderful way to have relationships, that you can
Yeah.
say what you mean
Mm-hmm.
what you say, and don't say it mean. And I would have my four boys all together, four boys and a girl, all in the same household. Boy, some of the stuff that they would say, I would just like, whoa, 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 whoa. Back that truck up, say it again and say it nice. And I mean, I would just like, nope, again, try it again. Because you have to find a way to, I was in human resources, so I would teach my kids to sandwich it. Like an Oreo cookie, they had to start with saying something that they liked about something nice, you know, how much I love you.
Mm-hmm.
Then they could go on to the next one. And then end it with something kind about them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can do that and still have an honest expression.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. It's raising children is a blessing. And the more that we evolve in our relationships, the better that we get at it. We've all said, when I have kids, I'm going to do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good. That's good.
It is, but we sometimes end up, sliding back and doing what our parents were doing too. So you got to watch that.
Well, we learn what works and what doesn't work, because sometimes if you're raised in a very disciplined household, then you do not discipline your children to the same level. And then you realize that the boundaries aren't there. Boundaries are very important. Boundaries are very important. That's why
Yeah.
we've got rooms with doors.
True. Yeah, a good
That's
point.
why we've got rooms with doors. So the first chapter we talked about, um, a little bit, and I love how you brought in the meditation. On the last day of camp, Mimi gathers the children for a closing ceremony in the large open field in the middle of the cabins. As they sit cross-legged on the lawn and feel the warmth of the sun, she says, "Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths to settle down and get centered." Oh, meditation, right? That's meditation right there. Then she asks them to share something they love about themselves and something they are grateful for. Meditation, how important
Mhm.
believe that is
Yeah,
for
and I
children.
guess maybe we call it in the United States more mindfulness, and I think they're just same words, just using it differently. Maybe meditation in schools, people like, oh well, maybe I don't believe in that religion. So mindfulness is breathing, calming, using different techniques to center yourself. And
Mhm.
then, even the gratitude and all of those other things that could be in the umbrella of mindfulness, but those are just
Oh,
categories. Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. When we take a deep breath and inhale and exhale, oh, what a beautiful experience. And when we can bring in the different practices from around the world, I remember teaching the alternative nostril breath to balance the brain.
Mm.
Because when the brain gets overwhelmed and you're like, oh my God, I can't figure this out. I'm really struggling with reconciling a credit card, um, whatever it is. If you simply plug one nostril and breathe in, and then exhale and breathe in and exhale, my nose is a
Good.
little bit congested. If you
Mine is true.
And if you keep on doing it faster and faster and faster,
Mhm.
it will open up your nasal passages. You can blow your nose, and you've also balanced the left and the right brain hemispheres.
Mhm. Mhm.
So simple. If you breathe in and say, I am, and you exhale and say, here,
Mm.
you've got a mantra.
Mhm.
I am, exhale, love.
Mhm.
When we can decide how we want to be in the world, I am
Mhm.
love. If you say that affirmation, then using that affirmation to be gives you an opportunity to show up in the world that you say the way you say you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Easier, easier. I didn't say it was easy and I didn't say it happens all the time, right?
Mhm.
We see it with children. Children,
Absolutely.
they lose their patience just like
Mhm.
we do. Hungry.
Yes. I know in the next book, I'm already starting to think about it. One of my I named Louisa after a young lady that I know in my life who is Hispanic, and she is a health coach, and she works with children with ADD and ADHD, and she says almost every single one of them is dehydrated.
Oh,
So she always has them drink water, just to, again, the water and the breathing, like, are so simple, right? I mean, you can breathe, you can drink water, and I mean, they don't cost anything.
if
Well, maybe water.
we will, well, I mean, if you take your body, this is what my coach taught me, that if you take your body weight and divide it by half, that is your aim for the number of
Mhm,
ounces you drink in a day.
mhm. And I don't know about my sister and I were talking about this on the way on this car trip, on this little vacation that we're on. We did not, when we went to school, we got a lunch box, and you might remember the little tin lunch boxes with a little thermos in it, and it probably had Kool-Aid in it.
Yeah.
Or Tang. It did not have, we didn't drink water. We had maybe
No.
we got a little thing of milk maybe at lunch. But I mean, kids, we need to drink water. I mean, it makes a big difference in just being and again, healthy, so they can be mindful and so that they can practice some of the principles in the book. It's just a basic thing. So we're gonna and we're gonna talk about in the next book talk. Louisa is going to help me on that chapter about sugar. Not that I'm anti-sugar, or anything, but it can be affected for some kids, and it could make them
Mhm.
tired, it can make them cranky, it can make them crazy, so we have to be careful how we introduce the topic, you know, um, in the next book.
Absolutely. If we can understand how important it is to calm the mind, to calm the body, all of us,
Hmm.
regardless as to what possible neurocognitive challenges that we have. Wow, wow, and to be able to clearly articulate why, what's
Hmm.
going on, sunshine, what's going on, and compassion is a big part of that. Huge, huge
Hmm.
compassion.
Hmm. Yeah,
Compassion.
definitely. Emotional intelligence, and again, I think you and I both did HR. So we use the word emotional intelligence, but it's a big word. Maybe for kids, we don't do that. It's more like knowing your feelings and knowing how to manage your feelings.
Mhm.
Because I've worked, and you probably worked with a lot of people in the workplace who didn't do that very well.
Oh, hey,
So,
I did, hiring for a meat packaging plant.
mm.
And we're talking right from slaughter to cleanup. Hard work, extremely, um, yucky conditions, and, a driven need to get so many animals down the line in such a period of time. Nobody asked you how you were feeling. I mean,
Uh-uh.
feelings
No,
were at work.
you shove them down, you stuff them.
Well,
You leave them in the car. You leave them in the car before you get to work. Yeah.
yeah, and what happens is like I said before, when you come home and you don't unpack your feelings and emotions, they affect your home life.
Mhm.
If you
Yes.
go to work and you haven't had the ability or a safe place,
Mm,
if your home does not offer a safe place to share your feelings and emotions, the workplace becomes that. And it is much more beneficial to the corporation if your employees are allowed to share their feelings in a safe environment when
absolutely.
things are going sideways. You know, there's a big importance for that. So I hope
And
that more
that's
employers do that.
and that's a lot of reason why I sort of pivoted. Like you saw, as I explained earlier, this vision of this big giant zipper zipping off this HR persona.
Oh yeah.
Out comes this other one. It's like, and then maybe I got to the point where I was over it. I'm just done. I'm just like in the workplace. I'm done working with adults. I want to, let's go back and work with the kids. It's because, it's hard when you're trying to work with a 40 or 50-year-old person, trying to get them to change, and helping them see that maybe their behavior is affecting the people around them, especially if they're the manager, you
Very
know?
much so. Very much so. Um, I was with one company only, and I mean I was in corporate for 35 years. One company that allowed the employees to do an assessment of their supervisors and their
Mm,
managers. One,
mm,
only one. The rest of the
yeah,
time it was that hierarchy, where the
mm,
manager and all the way down.
yeah,
Um, it's it's a strange world, the corporate world. I was talking to someone about the value and recognition of employees. And if you think of how much money you make for an organization in an hour and the remuneration that you're receiving,
mhm, yeah,
how close is it? And I know that there's overhead. I know
mhm,
you got to pay for all that. The question is, are you receiving a fair share of the cake that you're baking?
yeah, yeah, probably not.
Most aren't. Most
Yeah,
aren't. And that's where some of the resentment comes from, the frustration. And so if we can offer our employees, our coworkers, the people that we
mhm,
spend so much time with, some kindness,
yes,
why go a long way. There's more to loving and understanding your employees than a peanut lunch once a month as an
yeah,
employee recognition, right?
exactly, exactly. So, yeah, my purpose now is shifting to the children, our future leaders. I've been doing leadership training and coaching, but our next generation of our children and grandchildren are the leaders. So let's my focus is everything I've learned in HR, everything in this book is not rocket science, is it? It's just like it's stories, but it's like not that I thought them up. I've been teaching them to adults and we've all learned about it. It's just putting them back for children.
Well, and when we read to our children, when we read to our grandchildren, we are helping them unwind from the day. It is so valuable. That, oh my goodness, cuddling together in the bedroom, having that time
Mhm.
together. Story time in our family. I raised the children, my children. It was like bedtime was early, and a lot of people are like, wow, you put your kids to bed early. Well, we read stories.
In a routine, you had like a ritual that you would do.
Well, sure, and I had 5 kids. So I mean,
Mhm.
at times reading, I mean, when they were all of age, I wasn't reading to all of them stories. Sometimes they would read stories to each other too, like it would become part of an
Mhm.
experience together. and the memories that you make through sharing story, reading stories by the campfire, telling
Mhm.
stories by the campfire, all that can be carried forward with story. And then you begin to communicate your legacy. Nona told me this. I
Mhm.
remember when Nona said that. Or
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
remember when my granddaughter, oh my God, right? Right. When I was reading to my granddaughter and she was cuddled on my lap and she farted and laughed out loud. And, like those are great experiences. Making memories is beautiful. And this book gives the opportunity for that. And it can be read. Yes, it is. I don't know if there's an age on it. It's a chapter book, so let's just guess from there. Ages 7 to 12. It can be simplified for a younger
Mhm.
age,
Yeah. Yeah. It could be.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. It could.
We can just talk about fires and camping and how much fun it is to be camping,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So much, so much. When I was a kid, we went to the library, and the librarian read to us, and that was such an amazing experience. I even toyed with being a librarian at one time.
Me too. I think you and I are like the same. I wanted to be a teacher. Well, I wanted to be a nun, I think, because I went to Catholic school, and I wanted to be a librarian. When my sisters and I, we would play two games. We would play teacher. One
Yep.
person was a teacher, and the other people, and you would do the tests. And the other time, we would play library, and we get the old encyclopedias out with the index cards, and we had a little rubber stamp, and we would pretend like we're in a library. I mean, we were
Oh
just
my gosh, that is so beautiful. My mom worked in the library. She was in the
oh.
accounting department. So I spent so much time at the library. I was reading chapter books by the dozen. I didn't realize how skilled I was at reading until I got into the latter part of elementary school, and then I'm like, wow, wow, yeah. And it was a good feeling. It was a very good feeling place. So that then we talk about courage. Oh, how
Mhm,
important is courage in all of our lives?
mhm.
In all of our lives. So you wrote about Cal. He's 10 years old.
Yeah, and that is a true story. That
Mhm.
actually happened last year. That actually happened. That was the story that started the whole idea of writing a book, because my grandson, he's the oldest. He's my first. So I don't, there's always something special about your first grandchild. And so everything in that chapter is exactly what happened last September, almost a year. And so he play by play, all of a sudden started having these headaches, came home throwing up. The pediatrician knew that something was wrong because the headaches are not going to wrong, and something with headaches and throwing up, they knew it could be a brain tumor, baseball sized brain tumor, back of the head. They took him right to the hospital. I live in Virginia. My daughter lives in South Carolina. It's about 8 hours away. So my husband and I jumped on a plane the next day to help her out with the other two smaller children, Reed and Charlie Ann. And yeah, everything that is in the book exactly happened exactly that way. And praise God, he is fine, and he continues to. He had an MRI last week, and there is no return of that tumor. It's not coming back.
Wow. Wow. And what wonderful words were spoken to him. You are strong and you can face anything. Whatever comes your way in life, you can handle it.
Hmm.
Beautiful. And I'm here to help you, right? And
Hmm.
and that and
Hmm.
that's the reassurance. You can handle it, and I'm here.
To help you because you're 10. It's like so you do have strength inside,
Yes. Yeah.
to do that, and to tap into that light. And that's like this common theme there. Everyone goes to the camp, they receive this mystical ball of light, like I saw in the vision, and then everybody taps into it in a different way. So one child, it might be courage. One child, it may be, for Reed, as we just talked about, might be to love himself, to not make up stories. One could be like Louisa. We haven't talked about Louisa. Louisa was really me. That Louisa was really my story. My middle name is Lucille, so I called that chapter Lucy.
Okay.
And I grew up with 7 brothers and sisters, 5 girls, 6 girls, 1 boy. And
Wow.
when I was a little girl, we watched a TV show called The Waltons,
Yep.
and I wanted to be like John Boy.
Wow.
And so I wrote a story. I had my journal and I had my desk, and I came out and I had it, and I was just like I said with Louisa, I had my spiral bound notebook and I read whatever it was, and I was shot down. I mean, they laughed at me, teased me, but that's what kids do. You know what I mean? But and so I took that to mean I stink. I'm not good. I can't do this.
Hmm.
And so I changed that story on purpose. Well, obviously, because she had a different ending than I did, because I believed them. And here, fast forward 50 years now, I'm writing a book, but I was 10 and I didn't write for 50 years. But in the book, she taps into the light and doesn't. And I think Mimi says in that chapter, don't swallow what other people say. Don't. And I learned that from a lady I met virtually who's in New Zealand. And she posted something on Facebook, and I loved what she said. And I said, can I use that? And she said, sure. Don't swallow other people's opinions of you and put them inside yourself.
So true. So true. And we take the words of others and allow it to become us, especially if it's something that's said over and over and over again. When someone says mean things about you and insults you regularly, you begin to believe it. It becomes a sort of an indoctrination.
And you know what's interesting about that whole thing? So I told you I have like 5 sisters, and so I mentioned this story to my younger sister, not the one that's with me here, and she said, we again, it's all like we were saying before. Everybody has a different filter. Everybody has a different set of glasses on how they see the world. She
Mhm.
remembers as a little girl coming to the family or at a family dinner and saying, "I'm going to go to college. I'm going to go to college," and everybody laughed at her, but she didn't do what I did. She said, "I'm gonna prove them wrong." And she did. She became the valedictorian of her high school class, and she was the only one to get a scholarship in our family.
Yeah.
So she didn't swallow the words either. You know what I mean? So everybody, people, so I mean, I wish I did have a magic ball of light for real, so that when anybody says something to you, you don't have to believe it.
Mhm.
And my sister didn't take what the fam they didn't she didn't take the teasing. I did swallow it. In you know what I mean? And so I'm not beating myself up, but I think that's interesting why one person does and one person doesn't.
It definitely is. It definitely is. There's so many factors that go into why we believe and why we don't believe. Sometimes it's the age and it's our ability to critically think about what we're told.
Mhm,
Um, so many different factors. And I believe that if anyone's telling you that you're anything but wonderful, that there
mhm,
is a problem there. And if someone is telling you that you're anything but wonderful, look at that,
mhm,
take it and analyze it, because you may not be showing up as the best possible version of yourself.
mhm, mhm,
If someone says you're being a jerk, then there's something about you, what you said, that
mhm.
was heard that way by someone else. Ask more questions. Why what did I say that made you think that I'm a jerk?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, but there's so many people in life. It could be a sibling, a parent, a teacher, a coach that could just shut down your dreams.
Oh, absolutely. With a snicker and a laugh. Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Great. Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yeah, like, sure, that's gonna and you do you know who Steve Harvey is?
Yes, I do.
The comedian. And so there was a story I heard recently, and you may have heard this one too, but he was a little boy in the South in Mississippi, not from a very wealthy area. His
Mhm.
teacher asked them all to write down what they want to be when they grow up. Everybody wrote down what they wanted to be when they grow up, and they passed it forward. The teacher takes them out one by one. Nancy wants to be a dancer. Margie wants to be a teacher. So and so wants to be a fireman. And he's like, oh, she's saving mine for last because she hasn't mentioned mine. So, and it's little Stevie, he once says, I'm going to be on TV. And
Mm.
she called him up to the front of the classroom and said, who do you think you are to think that you could be on TV? And humiliated him in front of the class, ripped up his paper. So again, he was like my sister. He proved her wrong. And to this day, he sends to that teacher a TV. Every Christmas, a new TV. It's a true story.
Wow, I love that. Oh, I love that. That's
Mhm,
tenacious.
mhm,
I love tenaciousness.
mhm,
I was working, with a very wonderful, um, colleague. I struggle with the words because when I start working with somebody, I get so much work. I learn so much from them that it's no longer Nancy, the breakthrough coach. It's like, oh my God, I get to meet with my colleague because we bounce things back and forth off of each other. And we were working on a process called standards of integrity. And standards of integrity speaks to who in your life do you look up to and why? So
mhm,
each of us had three quotes from a person to share with the other one, so the other person would guess who
mhm,
it was. And it was just such an exceptional experience to be able to tell when you tell someone who that person is that you look up to and why.
mm.
It's such a deep dive into the heart,
Yes.
such a deep dive into the heart. And when we can learn more about somebody,
Mhm.
oh, wow, what a gift. What a gift to have somebody share their heart with you.
Absolutely. I love that. That's
Yeah.
great.
I told her mine was share. Oh yeah. I'm a huge she has inspired me for a very long time. For so many wonderful reasons. I love her bold, clear articulation. She
Mhm.
doesn't mince words. She says it like it is. And if you don't like it, that's on you. And I find that
Yeah.
too often, um, if we try to compose our words for acceptance. And if
Mm.
you don't like what I said, that's on you,
Right. Yeah.
right? You can't make someone feel something that's inside of them.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
is. I mean,
Yeah.
not talking about bullying and things, you can make someone feel sad when you're being a jerk. Um, yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's it's interesting. You wrote in your book, and I love this as well. Emotions are energy in motion.
Mhm. Yeah,
Tell
that
us.
was something I got from a Tony Robbins. I think I took a Tony Robbins course, virtual. I think that was one of his sayings. Emotions are energy in motion, so they're just, they're everything's energy, and it's in motion, whether it's sadness or anxiety or joy or disappointment. They're just in motion. So to be able to know that you can shift those emotions, and I think I talked a little bit about that in with Jake is the one on the trampoline. I forget what chapter that is, but if you feel something going on, just move your body. It's like stuck in there, if you can, like they say, shake it off, literally shake it off, like if you're
Mhm.
nervous in a presentation. I mean, most people want to faint when they're standing on a podium because they're so tight. You just got to be more loose and relaxed and shift your energy, and to be able to dance or sing or go for a walk or breathe, any of that shifts the energy in the body. So I try to keep it kind of basic in there because it's for kids, but really it is just being able to say, hey, if you're feeling bad, get up and move around. I mean, if you're feeling just, it's stuck there, just get it moving around.
And it's so very, very true. Moving from one room into another room is a way to shift your energies as well. Because like you said, the magic ball of light, the energy in a room is it's a physical reality, even though you can't see it. Walk into a room full of angry people, you can feel it. Even if no one's speaking, you can feel that. When you step out of that room, you enter a new vibrational set point. And that's why getting up and taking mini breaks throughout the day is very, very, very helpful. Doing it in the office as well. I used to do that when I was in corporate, is I would get up and I would take my coffee cup, and I would take it upstairs in the sink, give it a rinse and put it in the dishwasher. And if there were more dishes in the sink, I would move those dishes into the dishwasher. Just that process of moving, getting up, filling your glass full of water, that action of moving.
Of just moving. I'm going to plug my computer in. I think I realize it's not plugged in. I don't know if it's going to stop
Suddenly
it. Yeah.
Good move. Good move.
I saw something changing there.
Better to plug it in now than sit and worry about it.
Yeah, well, I noticed that the lighting shifted. I said, "Oh, I wonder what that is," and I just realized that I have a cord there, but it's not plugged into anything. So that could do it.
It might have moved into an energy saving mode.
Yeah, I had to plug it into the, over there by the piano. It's like it's a long cord. So.
But the virtual backgrounds are definitely a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Yeah. So when you think of your experience of writing, what was the most enjoyable part of writing for you?
I think the imagination, coming up with the different stories, because I think I have a great imagination, just playing with it, making it fun, making it, pulling things from all different times of my life and blending it in there. I think that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that.
I like that. And then, so we just talked about your high and then your low, your challenge. What was the challenge?
The challenge was, I think, the writing, the actual, the limiting beliefs of the time when I was a little girl and everyone said, you can't do this, you can't be a writer. So I questioned everything. I had it edited a jillion times just because I was worried about the grammar, because you're in the present tense, but you're thinking about the past, and now you're in the, I was swirling around in my head. It was not, it was like it was staccato. It was not smooth.
Okay. Having support during the writing process is very important. Support from not just your publishing team, your editor, your publisher, if you're doing it yourself, whichever way you're going through the writing experience. Having good support and a wonderful self-care program too.
And luckily I had all that, and it all just sort of came together. It all just sort of came together, and because you figure I wrote this in January on a cruise, and now it's on Amazon in August. I feel like it's been like 9-month birth here. So, it went fast. It went fairly quickly. But again, it is a small book. It's not that thick. So next time might be, a few more, maybe in the 10 more pages or so. But, it's about the
Beautiful.
same size. Like the Magic Tree House. I don't know if you ever read those with your
Yes.
kids.
Yeah.
I loved reading those with my grandson. And I thought about changing the title to mystical. And then I thought, but if somebody Googles Magic Tree House or the Magic School Bus, do you remember those?
Yes.
Boom, here comes my book right there with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And chapter books, series books, they are so special. Oh my gosh, what was that one, that Captain Underpants?
I never read those.
That was a very popular series in my household. All of my kids loved Captain Underpants. We would the idea of being a superhero is very powerful because we
Mm.
all are superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
all are. We all are absolutely amazing superheroes who can do the most tremendous things. We
Yeah.
really can. We really can. And again, it's about taking action on your dreams and doing the things that you've always wanted to do. When you think who said you can't, hmm, how much power are you willing to give away to another person? When you
Mm.
take back your power and control, there's so much that you can do in a day.
Oh,
So
yeah.
much. So much. Every day is a gift. It truly, truly is. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I loved hearing more about your writing experience, about what brought you to this and how special your grandchildren were so that they could become this. This is a legacy. This
Oh,
is a
they are so excited. My grandson, they're getting ready to go to school in South Carolina. And he says he's asking, I talked to my daughter today, when is the book coming? I got
oh,
to go to school. I got to show it to people. It's like, because, last year he was the boy with the brain tumor. And now she says it's given him so much more courage, so much more confidence to get past that. He doesn't want to be
mhm.
the boy with the brain tumor. So yeah, I think it's good for all of them. They want to have a YouTube channel. I'm not sure about that. We'll see how that goes, because what I saw in the vision was not me giving each kid the light. So I'll give you a little hint on the next book. The next book, The Winter Holiday. So it's a magic ball of light, but winter holiday. The kids, same characters, get together during the winter holiday, but now they're going to learn how to pass the light on to other kids. So
Beautiful.
it's not, they don't have to come, the kids don't have to come there and see Mimi, they're now going to pass it on. So
Oh, I love that. The light within and sharing the
mhm,
gift. Oh,
mhm.
spectacular. Spectacular. Well, I hope that this book is in many schools, not just your grandsons, but many, many more schools.
I hope so too. It was just published, what, 3 days ago, 4 days ago. So I wanted to try to get it out before this, the school season starting. But I want to try to think of a way that I can do a campaign for teachers, and I need to think about that, of how to logistically do that, like give teachers a discount or buy one get one, something like that, to help them to get more of these in the hands of the children.
That would be a beautiful, beautiful. Keep on asking. Someone will show up that'll tell you how. That's
Yeah.
that's how it works. We talk about angels. There's earth angels that will help you as well as the angels above. That'll give
Hmm.
you that'll move those people in your direction for you. I know they will. I absolutely know they will. Well, it has been a pleasure, and I thank
Thank
everybody for
you.
watching. Please do share this out to people so that we can get the Magic Ball of Light Summer Camp into many, many hands this year. So thank you very much, and we'll see
Thank
you again
you.
next week, everybody. Peace out.
Thank
Love
you
you
so
to
much,
the moon
Nancy.
and back. Oh, you are so welcome. So welcome. It was